Hi everyone, it's Forbidden Game 2 time. The game continues. So yeah, we're going to be chatting about the Forbidden Game, The Chase, tonight, which is the second book in the trilogy. An interesting sandwich between two books, I would say. Hi everyone. Hello, thanks for joining us. Yes, we're going to be chatting about the Forbidden Game. We've got a brilliant guest joining us, a personal friend of mine, which is Amy McCaw. Hopefully she'll be here in a minute, but she just have to put the little one to bed, so she should be here soon. So what I'll do, I'll introduce Amy and her books if you don't know Amy at all. But yeah, so Amy is a YA author and YouTuber. She's the author of the Mina and the Undead series, which is Mina and the Undead, perfect for fans of point horror. So this is the first one, Mina and the Undead, and then Mina and the Slayers, which was the second one. Oh, hi Amy. I'll just add you in. Amy. Thank you, the perfume. Yes, and new bookcases because I've moved house. Hiya. Hello.
Hi. Orange. Let me turn my orange light down.
Unorange me.
Unorange me, please.
Well, you were going with the book.
atmospheric,
That's what you were
but,
doing.
yeah. Yeah, I really committed
Oh,
there, but yeah.
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I've got my
Second one. I was
coffee.
just introducing you because I wasn't sure. I thought, oh, I know you put little one to bed around this time. So, but I was just
Yeah.
saying, yeah, author of Mina and the Undead and Mina and the Slayers, and the third one in the trilogy coming soon. Yay!
Yes. Nearly finished writing it, so
And
yeah,
Karen's
very
put, I
soon.
still need to read Mina. I bought it and keeps staring at me with fangs out. Yeah, perfect. They are perfect for fans of point horror. 90s nostalgia, everything. It's amazing. I know. I always say I'm
Oh,
not biased, I promise, but they are so good. um,
thank you.
oh,
Imagine if you didn't like them, that'd be awkward. Just not
and
talk
you've
about it.
also co-curated. I can't say that word. It's one of them words.
I know. It's so hot. I'm gonna have to learn
Curated
co-curated.
taste of anthology, an anthology called A Taste of Darkness. Tell us a little bit more, Amy,
Yeah.
about this anthology, because I got it just before I moved house and I haven't had a chance to get to it yet, but because of chaos. But I'm really excited to jump on in.
Yes, so I sent my friend Mia a message just randomly a couple of years ago, like, I think we should put together a horror anthology. And Mia Kuznia is known for writing like cozy middle grade and cozy romantic adult books. So I don't know really what I was thinking, but she was like, yeah, I could write horror. I could write Polish horror, because of her Polish heritage. And she was like, I'm going to write a Polish horror story. And it just kind of snowballed. And we did a Zoom and chat about what our stories would be. And my story idea just popped in my head. It's called
Ooh.
The House with Teeth, and I was like, oh, that's weird. What's that going to be about? Um, and then it was really slow and it took ages for us to put together. But basically, we got in touch with 11 authors, some of whom had written horror before, a lot of whom are the kind of established names that you'll have heard of,
Yeah.
like Kat Ellis, Dawn Kurtagich, Catherine Boxfield, Cynthia Murphy. And we just kind of gave them free rein and we said, we want you to write something scary. Just, let us have what you've got. And we'd got nearly
Oh,
all the authors. Sorry, Kevin's
nice.
passing me a cup of tea. I'm going to grab it. We'd got nearly all of the authors, and then we added a couple on near the end, so people like Rosie Talbot, who are kind of newer to the horror genre, were able to be added on as well. And I'm really excited. It's just come together so nicely, considering that the authors did their own thing. I'm really proud of how there were common threads between it that we didn't know would
Oh
be there
wow.
because they all wrote their own stories. Yeah, it was. It's just I'm really proud
Yeah.
of it, and I hope that everybody really enjoys it too. I certainly did when
Oh,
I
I'm
first wrote
so
it all
excited.
together.
I'm
I was
so
really
proud
excited.
of you as well. Because
Thank
obviously we're friends
you.
in real life, sis. But I'm so proud of you and
Yeah.
what you've done with this. And the cover is just as well. So it's not picking it up in my light because I haven't sorted my lights out at the back yet. That's why I'm really dark. But yeah, it's picking it up a
Same
little
here.
bit. Shiny,
I've never
shiny.
got the right. Yeah. Yeah, it
Oh,
looks good. Your shelves are
yeah.
lovely. I can't wait to come and visit.
Oh
As soon as
dear,
you feel
yeah,
settled in, I'm going to
it's
be
been
around.
stressful, but we're settled now. But yeah, as I say, I've got to sort some lights out in here
Good.
because I'm so dark. But yeah, it'll be fine. It'll work out, I'm sure. I just
It will.
saw people. Melina's put can't wait for the anthology. So many fab writers. And I saw Sharon had put so excited for the anthology. Cameron put lols at the shade I'm getting for not having read Mina yet. Okay, guys, I'll read it next.
Karen. Thank you, Karen. And no pressure. I know what it's like. Honestly, I've got friends who are authors, and it's just a constant like guilt that I haven't got to their books because so many books come out and
Oh,
they just
I
keep
know,
stacking up,
I
don't
know.
they?
And there's
So I
been
get
so
it.
many good ones out lately as well. And it's just like, what do we read first? But yeah, now I'm more settled and definitely jumping into the anthology. So I'll let you know.
Yay.
I'll have to give you like, I'll have to text you like
Yes,
little
please
mini
do.
reviews of what I think of each story.
Please do. I want story
Is
by
it?
story updates, please. Well, mine's the second one, so make sure that it's
I
the
will
for
do.
the second story, please. I'm
Oh,
very
dear. And
challenging.
Tam's put, yeah, I'm looking forward to the anthology.
Yay.
And Sharon's put, it's good to see your books back, Shelley. Yay! Because last month I'd literally just had a blank bookcase behind me, which I'd put up to like
Oh,
cover the boxes that were all surrounding me. So yeah, it was nice to get all my books back on the shelves, rainbow the point horrors, and just settle back down, which was nice. Oh
yeah, you
dear. They
deserve it,
say moving
honestly.
house
You
is the
really
most
do.
stressful thing, and I never would have. I never felt it stressful when I was younger, but this time out, I was like, yeah, this is stressful. So
That's why being a
yeah,
grown up, you suddenly realise what your parents actually did, and you're like, yeah, we should have appreciated that more.
yeah,
Things just
that's
happen
it.
around you when you're a kid, don't they?
Oh dear,
You don't
but
realise what it's
we're in,
like.
we're there. So last year, in August last year, which has gone so quick. God, I
Mm.
can't believe it.
That's
Yeah.
not a year, honestly. I don't believe you. It's
Yeah,
like 2 months ago,
honestly, last
surely.
year we read the first book in the Forbidden Game series, The Hunter, which I hadn't read. I hadn't read any of these books before, and everyone kept telling me Julian was like, "Oh, Julian is so swoony." So yeah, we read and discussed that. So that is, I think I popped up a thing of our chat last year. But yeah, so this year I thought, oh, we'll keep with the theme for August and we'll read the second book, which was The Chase. So yeah, the tagline on this one is he's come to claim what's his, which kind of made me laugh because I was like, hmm.
There are there are a few things that I remember differently about this book because the first one, you know, when you really think you really love a series, but you've actually just read the first book 1,000 times. As I was reading the second one, I was like, have I read this? Like, I don't remember this at all.
Oh,
What is happening? But there's a scene when I was a kid, and I thought it was in this book that
oh,
traumatized me and actually gave me nightmares. And I think it must be in book three.
oh
It's
dear, my
really
things,
bad,
everything's
really,
falling
really
down.
like.
Sorry, there we go.
Oh no. But yeah, so I was kind of waiting for the scene that didn't come. So we definitely need to do the third book because I need to read that scene, the scene
Oh,
that scarred
I'm
me
excited to see what that is
when I
because
was a
it
child.
must be like something horrific.
It was pretty bad as it because I read these when I was 10 or 11, and it was the first kind of visceral
Oh,
body horror I read.
because there was
Yeah,
some
it's
like
good. It's
kind of
good stuff.
gory bits in the first one, like with the plants and things like coming out of the skin and stuff like that. So the first one was quite
And
gory.
the first scene,
Oh,
I think the first scene in this book, I'm sure we'll get to it,
yeah.
but the first scene I thought was quite kind
Yeah,
of proper
definitely.
horror as well, like
Oh,
heart
definitely.
racing.
Right, I'll jump straight in then so we can talk about that scene because like I love that scene.
Yes,
A few
let's
people saying haven't moved since the year 2000. Narista's put I've moved 12 times since 2006. Sharon's put read The Hunter and The Chase this month, so Sharon read both. Please don't make me wait a year for the next one. Okay, I might have to do it a bit sooner. um,
Yeah, I don't think I can
mm,
wait a year, honestly, either. After that, I feel like I need to like find out how this thing wraps up because I can't remember at all, except for that one
Yeah,
gruesome
we'll
scene. I
have to do
remember
it
nothing.
sooner then. And Hannah's put, hi, I've read Mina and the Undead and I love it.
Oh,
Yeah, so
thank
there'll
you,
be
Hannah.
spoilers ahead for the Forbidden Game, the Chase. And any comments, pop them up. We'll try and read them out as we chat. So The Chase, as I mentioned, is the second book in the Forbidden Game trilogy, written by author L.J. Smith, who did the Vampire Diaries. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Secret
Vampire
Circle.
Diaries, Secret
Yes.
Circle,
Which,
and the Night World book as
yeah.
well. She was one of my faves. If you want to talk A. Smith
Oh, and
with
you
me, you know,
recommended
I
one
can
of the
do
Night
it.
World books in the series that I do, with the short clips in
Yeah,
last month. I think it was. I think it was last month.
yeah,
So
I
yeah,
think
so
so.
having survived the events of the first game, the story continues, which I think was about 2 weeks after the end of the first book. And Jenny and her friends try to return to normal life, but this is made difficult due to personal changes that they've all undergone from their traumatic experience in the game. But and also they've got suspicions as well of what happened to their friend Summer. So their friend Summer died. Oh, spoilers for book one. Died in the game. There's going to be spoilers. Died in the game for being swallowed
There's
by a
got to
messy
be.
room. I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Poor Summer.
poor Summer.
And Julian, the Shadow Man, has returned to terrorise them with a new game, a hunting game called Lambs and Monsters. Jenny and her friends are the lambs, and the monsters are the lurker, which is a ghostly wolf, and the creeper, a phantom snake. And then one by one, Jenny's friends start to disappear, leaving behind only a paper doll and a riddle with clues of who will be next, like proper Final Destination style, which I loved. And Jenny must find Julian's hidden base and save her friends before it's too late. So yeah, so there's quite a lot went on in this book. So
Yeah.
did you like that the book directly followed on from book one? Is that what you was expecting? I know you mentioned you read it before.
Yeah, I do tend to like that with a sequel, especially this one. I don't think because it was over such a short time scale, the first book, and so much was packed in, I think it would have been weird to leave it any longer because they are still dealing
Mm,
with that immediate after effect. And I think as a reader, that's what we want to see. We want to see like how did those experiences affect them. We know that Julian isn't just going to leave Jenny
mm.
alone for any length of time. So to me, it seemed to fit that world really well. But I don't think any of them, if you'd left it any longer, I think it would have lost some
Yeah,
pace. How about you? Did you like
I
that
really
kind
liked
of
that it was
immediacy
just
of
set
it?
straight after, so you could see the repercussions, and because it was always the question, like, how were they going to explain, exactly what happened to Summer, which you did get a peek of at the end of the first book, but it was like, how were they going to continue that? And so I kind of liked it.
Oh, such a rookie error, Jenny. Jenny was like, let's tell the truth, everybody. Let's talk about the fact that
We
UFOs
went in a
affected
paper
us. And,
house.
like, we were inside we went in a paper house and our friend got killed by a
Yeah.
messy room. Like, I don't know what she was thinking there. I was like, come on, Jenny, have you not watched any horror movies? You've got to come
Hmm.
up with a story and you've got to all stick
Yeah.
to it no matter what. Like, I was disappointed with Jenny there. I thought she could
And
have
I
done
was
better than that.
also
But
thankful as well that it wasn't too far from the original events, so that I could remember what happened as well.
yeah, exactly. That is the perennial problem, isn't it, of reading a sequel
Yeah.
and thinking, have I read the first book? Like, what
No.
happened? Where are we? And I thought she did that well, actually, L.J. Smith. I thought that the initial scene, I was like, what the heck is happening? Like, who is this kid Gordy who's being stalked by something? But I thought that served the book well later. But then I think when it jumped into being with Jenny and her friends, like it did remind you quite subtly. It wasn't like, okay, sit
Mm.
down for 20 pages and let me remind you what happened. It was fed in like the girl coming to accuse Jenny and saying, you were the ones who must have killed Summer. It wasn't my friend. So it just was like, oh yeah, Summer
Yeah.
died. Got it. Like, tell me more. Oh yeah, Slug and PJ stole the house. Okay. And it felt like it quite naturally was
Yeah, I
folded
thought
into the
that as well.
story, I
And I
thought.
think in Mina too, you do that really well. And you
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
It was
you
really
do
difficult,
it.
so
You
I'm
did
glad you
it really well
noticed.
in Mina too, and like just little things that prompt your memory, and it's not forced. And I kind of think L.J. Smith did it in this book really well as well, because I guess it's quite hard, like to like try and interweave everything, so you're not
It
just forcing it down people's throats, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's making it feel natural is the real difficulty. Like, but you also want to remember that they have been through really traumatic things. And I think the hard balance with the Mina books, and probably with this, is that they're similar in that they're quite fun and light-hearted books at the same time as people getting murdered and they're being chased. They are fun escapism. So you don't, to me, I didn't want it to be bogged down with Mina constantly remembering all the bad things that have happened.
Mm,
She kind of wants to look forward. And similar to Jenny, she just
mm.
wants to get on with it now, doesn't she? And think that she's hoping that Julian's, of course, Julian's trapped behind the door
Nothing.
and nothing bad will happen. Um, Nothing at all. She doesn't know there are two books left to come, does she? So yeah, I think that it's difficult. It took a lot of edits. They were definitely details that I seeded in as I went. I put more things in. I took them out. I realised that like doing page one
Mm,
reveals is really
mm.
different in the second book as well, and like writing blurbs. It was so hard to write the blurb for book
Yeah.
three, which I've just done recently, because you've got two books of compass, and you don't want to spoil those for people who pick up the third book by accident and go, "Whoa, that happened!" Oh, I know
Yeah.
what the whole trilogy was about. So yeah, it's definitely difficult. It's one of those things that you want it to read really
Mm.
easy and really
Oh,
natural,
I
but
can
it isn't easy
imagine. I'd
to
just be getting in a
accomplish.
muddle and I'd be like, oh no, I can't remember what
I do it
happened.
all the time. This is what I for. Yeah. Honestly, editors are great because they say things like, "Who is that again? You've not mentioned them, and suddenly they're really important." You're
Better
rubbish. I'm
find
like, "Oh, okay,
who
I better
that
sort that."
was.
Uh, yeah, no, yeah. So I think that it's hard as an author to catch everything like that, and I have like
Mm.
trusted beta readers, an editor who works for UClan, my kind husband who's sitting right there, um, who
Yeah.
always reads it. Shelley, normally you do a pattern if
Yeah.
you've got time as well. You definitely for both the Mina books,
Oh,
you were
thank
a
you.
very big help. Um,
I know. I can't imagine how hard it is. I would
yeah,
just get so confused, honestly.
you would. I think you'd be surprised. I think you'd be good.
Teddy New has put read both Hunter and the Chase this month and would happily go to the Shadow World with Julian. Oh, it's put hashtag hot stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Like, I was like, would I still? If I
Mm.
mean, now maybe not, but like when I was Jenny's age, if somebody had said like, okay, you can be like a queen of the shadow world with this really hot guy,
Yeah.
would you do it? Like, yeah. Even if, but now reading the second book, I was like, oh, he's getting a bit much. Like, I don't know. I found him a little less sexy in the second book,
Yeah.
I have to say. Like, I was getting a bit fed up of the stalker vibes, and I don't know whether this is just reading it as a nearly 40 something whether I've just become a complete killjoy.
No worries.
But so my phone's just constantly reminding me to do things. Um, I think that he I
Yeah.
still find him hot, like the blue eyes and
Yeah.
stuff and the white hair. And but yeah, I find the obsessive levels. I think in the first book somehow it was more palatable in the sense
Mm.
of the strangeness of the world he's in, but like the kind of labyrinth feel, like the girl who I've forgotten her name, the labyrinth girl
Yeah.
is in the world the same as Jenny is in Julian's world. I think now that he's in her world, it's like you've got
Yeah.
to get with the times and be a bit more like he kind of tricks her into
Yeah.
dancing
That
with him
whole
and at the
prom scene
party
was
and
very
stuff like that.
labyrinth, like just the whole thing,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
completely.
Yeah.
She's got a lot to thank
Oh
Labyrinth
yeah,
for, I think, and
definitely.
David
She's
Bowie.
definitely a fan, a David Bowie
But
fan, Jareth fan.
yeah,
Crystal
yeah,
Creations, but not heard of Night World. We'll need to look it up. So yeah, definitely check that out.
yeah, there are a lot of them. So if you like them, they the first one's Secret Vampire, and then each one is different supernatural beings, and like vampires come back again, witches come in a few times. I think there are werewolves and stuff. It's just like the night world is this kind of the world that
Mm.
is hidden from our world and that we don't know about. So it's like
Oh,
all
I'm gonna
paranormal
check that
creatures.
out.
It's good fun. My husband, Karen's just saying, sitting next to my husband talking about how hot Julian is. My husband is very secure in our relationship, being that he has to read as well about hot men that I've created. He's like, oh, Jared, already, this dreamy boy that you've created for people to lust over, hopefully.
Yeah,
He's very
yeah.
used
It's
to it,
like
Karen.
like
We're
me and
fine,
my
don't worry.
Kev. It's just like yeah, whatever. Just don't care anymore. When he cares, but like just doesn't goes over his head is what I mean.
They
No,
don't feel
that's it.
threatened, do they, at this point?
Yeah, Narissa put
No.
that she liked that it was a direct continuation as well. Um, and
Yeah.
also that liked it being a story over three books rather than a different one each time. Yeah, definitely. Teddy News put props to LJ Smith though. The actual concept of the paper house and going into it was fab. So that was like from the first book.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
was put, yeah, I think she did a great job of creating a creepy atmosphere and imagery. Yeah, and I find that with LJ Smith, like the books that I've read, that she does that so well, like the imagery and just the worlds.
She creates a whole world at different levels really well, at that kind of sensory level of you're in it with the characters and you're feeling what they're feeling, and just this whole like rich tapestry of what the world is like with the Vampire Diaries books. Some in some ways they feel a bit dated now, but she did that. It was so early in the
Mm,
day, like it was pre-Twilight, pre-True Blood, pre-Anita Blake, I think, even
mm,
pre-Buffy. It was like pre all of it. She was one of the first to do. I mean, I know that Anne Rice went there in the 70s with the
mm,
kind of sexy
mm.
vampire, but it was a different
Yeah.
kind of sexy vampire, I think. This is the kind of
Mm,
commercial mainstream
mm.
sexy vampire that we know now. Like I feel like LJ
Yeah,
Smith
yeah,
was
I
one of the
agree with
first to
that.
do it.
Sharon's put there's a fab Ronald Malfi. I can I'm so bad at pronouncing names. I'm so sorry.
I don't know
So
that one.
basically,
You
there's a short
know,
story that uses the
whatever you
paper
say.
house to its full horror effect. That sounds good.
Oh,
Let us know what the
that's
name of
good.
that book is. With the short story in. Claire put, I liked how the characters were reintroduced to us without a lot of repetition to recap the first book. Tam's put, yes, at
Yeah.
times it was creepy. Claire's put, the concept was great, very creepy, great imagery without being over the top. And then Sharon's put, do characters know they're in a story? Are we all just a story in some author's brain?
Honestly, I've wondered. I think about stuff like this a lot. And Rainbow Rowell wrote a story in Scattered Showers where it's two characters that Rainbow Rowell hasn't used that are sitting talking like in Rainbow Rowell's brain, and like they're worried that one of them's going to
Oh,
be taken out and used in a book. It's it's really worth
yeah.
reading. It's a really good anthology actually. It's like all short stories by her. But I thought it was so creative and weird, and it kind of made me feel quite like Matrix. Like, am I a character? Is any of this real? Just for a second,
You
I had
never
that weird
know.
moment of
You just never
detachment.
know. Crystal Creation put, I hope they bring out the TV series and they don't ruin it. Because there was meant to be a TV series, but it's like stuck. And I was
Honestly,
talking to oh Tonya from Christopher Pike. I'll link her after. And she said the rights are just stuck. They're just in limbo. Like it's probably never going to get made unless a miracle happens.
I mean, I fake sob, but also I
Mm,
don't want
mm,
it to be ruined. So I think that it's one of those weird ones where I've always thought it would be an amazing, really visual either trilogy of
yeah.
movies or TV show. But yeah, for years I've only been waiting for it
Might
for
have to
nearly
wait
40 years. So
a
it
bit
might never
longer.
happen. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, the rights were. Last I heard, the rights
Yeah,
have moved around a bit, and
yeah,
then, like you said, I think they got
yeah. I
stuck
mean, it would
somewhere. So I
make
don't
a
know
really good TV
where we are
series.
with
It
that.
really would.
I think if the
Yeah.
cast were right, it would be so good. Like you can imagine the effects they could use for Julian materializing and the
Oh,
creeper and the lurker. Like if they got the
yeah,
CGI,
definitely.
that could be really scary, but
Yeah,
also be
I
an
know.
absolute mess if they got it wrong.
Tam's put Julian is a creepy weirdo octopus.
I was with you until the octopus part. I'd like to
Yeah,
explain,
Sharon said,
but
I
yeah.
thought Julian seemed to fight fair at first in the first one. In this one, he's playing dirty. So, do you agree with that? Do you think he was playing more dirty in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the clues and stuff, it's a bit mean, isn't it, to provide a riddle and then literally as you provided it, you're already taking the person away. I think you have, if you're doing that and you're playing a game and you want it to
Mm,
feel like a real competition, you've got to be on an equal playing field. And he was obviously, he just got the plan that he was going to win, wasn't he? But Jenny's creating a bit of a pattern
mm,
herself, though, isn't she, of like cheating him at the
yeah.
end. She doesn't always, like in the first one, she didn't play fair either. She kind of led him down a path and then shoved him
Mm,
in a hole, basically shoved him in the
yeah.
door and
Yeah.
trapped him. So yeah, maybe he just thought that he was
Yeah.
playing
Yeah. I
according
think
to her
he
rules.
in this one I think he just thought all bets were off because he was in the real world now, so he didn't need no paper house to like hide behind. Um,
No, and he wasn't
yeah.
constrained by anything, was he? That like
Mm,
he was trapped in that world, and now he just has that freedom, doesn't he? And he's got his backup of his
mm.
creepy little wolf and
Yeah, no,
snake.
definitely. And so we mentioned earlier about the opening chapter with poor Geordie Wilson. Um, he was
I didn't
6, and
realize he
later
was
on in
six.
the book he
I
mentions
did.
he was 6 years old, unless I completely misread that.
No, you probably didn't. It wouldn't surprise me with point horror, but I was like, I feel like that would have been useful information to be told because I was
Yeah,
imagining him as this creepy teenage boy, and that made it scary. But for him to be six,
yeah.
so we're like Stephen
And
King
I'm
territory now.
sure, I mean,
Like that
I
should be in a teen
tried to
book.
flick back to see if I could find where I read that, but when I write, occasionally I just leave myself little voice notes so I remember things, just so then I can, ready for the chat. And I left myself a voice note saying, Geordie was 6. And I was like, that just makes it even more creepy. So,
Yeah, that's definitely a choice, doesn't it? Because that just shows, I mean, it was clever because it was establishing that this is the location. This is going to be an important
yeah,
location that the main characters should
yeah.
probably come to at some point. And establishing how terrifying those characters were, that they'd attack children even. I think that maybe that could have been explained a little more. I
Mm,
didn't get that from the first descriptions of the character because I was thinking he was like a teenage
yeah.
boy that was going hunting with his dad and stuff, but he
Yeah.
was obviously a child that his dad was
So
taking hunting. That's
what
even
did you
worse.
think of that opening scene? Did you find it like gruesome and yeah,
Yeah, I really liked it. And I think it was one of those scenes where it didn't explain loads because didn't it say that
yeah,
something like his heart stopped
yeah,
even before the creature attacked him? Like I found that really chilling. And I think that whenever authors do that, that they let your
mm,
imagination paint in
mm,
the blanks. I think that's great in a YA book because when I was 9, 10 reading this, I
mm,
probably painted a different image to what my,
yeah,
30 something self did. Yeah, I thought it was really suspenseful, really creepy. It felt very Stephen King, having this really unlikable character. It felt very like Henry Bowers from It to me, like this creepy
mm,
kid, something horrible's going to happen to him.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I thought
It,
that was good. How
it
about you?
did. It really
Did that
grabbed
grab
me
you,
like
that scene?
straight away. Grabbed me, and I was like, "Ooh, I hope we get more, more of this, like gruesomeness and things."
I think the only problem though was that it
Yeah,
promised quite a lot, that scene, and then it felt like pace went
yeah.
with like a little bit like a balloon filling, and it so went
And then he went back
for a
up.
little while, like the balloon, all the air came out. Yeah, and I did feel there was a little while after the first chapter that felt really exciting.
Mm.
There are these horrible creatures in the real world now. Her and her friends did spend quite a lot of time talking and like, oh, the police. I thought it was clever what they did with the police, that you got to see a little
Mm,
bit of them trying to convince the
yeah,
police that they were being honest, because that reminded you of the first book. But then I felt we could have got
yeah,
into the action, and it took a while for them to. It seemed, and I've done that myself in first draft. Sometimes I find myself the characters are just wandering around, and it's like this is me trying to figure out what the heck this book is about. I will sort it later.
mm,
And it almost felt like that to me, like it meanders a little bit, like they didn't have a lot of agency, like they were waiting for Julian to kick it off. And I think that
yeah.
that bit could
No,
have
I
just
agree because
gone
I
for
think I
me.
messaged you at some point and I said, "Oh gosh, like I'm really struggling with the first half of this book to like push on through." It just seemed to be going on for quite a while, but then once I got past like about the halfway mark, I flew through the rest of it because I really enjoyed like the last half of the book. Um, so maybe she did put good detail in of the first book, but she eked it out a little bit too long, maybe, and then it just I don't know because there was always elements coming
Yeah, I
back,
don't
wasn't
know.
there, of the first book?
Yeah, and I think there's a thing that she did what some horror authors don't do, is she acknowledged
Yeah,
that the characters had been through a lot, and I think that's important to know that they were different. But she spent a lot of time telling us that they were all
mm,
changed and telling us they'd all been through trauma, and it's like I kind of want you to just show this through their actions a bit more. Like, how many more times
yeah,
can we be told Jenny's different now? Like, just show us she's different. Stop saying Jenny's different now, please. Because she clearly is. Like she was doing stuff out of character, like the young girl that she wanted to. I don't remember whether she
yeah,
wanted to grab her or hit her or something, the young
yeah,
girl, but she had all this aggression building up inside her, and she was Jenny
mm,
the meat little mouse in the
yeah, she
first book,
was.
wasn't she? And then she still feels drawn to Julian, but it did keep. I think that it kept on at all these characters different now, and I was like, let's just get going and
Yeah,
show
yeah,
how
because
everybody's
I
changed.
noticed that a few times. They kept saying that, oh, she's changed, and I do agree. I think she had changed from the first book, because I think I remember us finding her a bit annoying in the first book, but in this one, I actually really liked her. I thought she was great. Um,
Yeah, and same with Tom. I found him
yes,
so annoying in the first book. I was like, what is Jenny
yeah,
doing with him? Go,
leave
Julian,
Tom.
just like leave the boring. Because, yeah, he was really
Mm,
controlling, but also really boring and didn't seem to have any agency. And I thought he found his
yeah,
like strength in this book. Yeah, he didn't
mm,
need to get school. That is not good behavior. But he just seemed to actually really care about Jenny in this one. And he was, although he did some
mm.
questionable things, like going off after monsters on his own and stuff, and killing them way too easily. I'm sure we'll get to that, but um, suddenly he became like an ace with a gun. But I liked him more,
Mm,
and I like that in a series that a couple of the characters I felt were treading water a bit, and they didn't grow or change much. But I
yeah.
felt that Tom and Jenny did, and I like to have a couple of the main characters to
Yeah,
seem to go
no,
through a
definitely.
journey.
I liked Tom more in this one, because I think in the first book we thought he was having an affair with Audrey, I think, or Summer, one of them.
They were weird, like yeah, like they were
Yeah,
flirting. I think Audrey and Tom, and to be fair, I haven't changed my feelings about
yeah.
her. I still find her a bit like, what's with all the French and the German that she smatters into the conversation, on all the talk of running in her designer shoes and stuff. And it's like, you're running from a monster, throw off the
Yeah.
shoes. Um, I think some of the characters, and like Dee, I
Mm,
still felt I loved her in the first book, but I don't think that she had any room
no,
to grow in this
I
one. She
think
just carried on being
I,
the same
I agree on that.
badass character without
I
new
agree. I
new
think
depths.
they developed Dee well in the first book, but then didn't. Other than giving her a really cool grandma, was it grandma or aunt? Aunt?
Yeah,
Is it?
is it? Yeah, is it?
Was it
Do they call her Amma?
Adu?
I think she's a
Adu
grand,
or Amma or something? Yeah,
something like that. She's. I
I
think
think
I
it
read her
might
as
have
the
been her
grandmother, but I'm not
aunt
sure.
or
I could have got that
grandmother,
wrong.
one or the other. But yeah,
Yeah,
other than that
older.
element, I don't think that they gave her much room to grow any further than what she had in the first
No.
book.
Yeah, and that doesn't
Yeah,
replace character development, does it? Giving her interesting characters that she's do. I do always like kind of an older
yes,
character full of wisdom.
yeah.
I do enjoy that as a horror trope. I like the fact that the Forbidden Game books, I think they probably were my first
Mm,
exposure to some of these tropes. I think that she is obviously a horror fan, LJ Smith, and I think she uses quite a lot of
yeah,
tropes like to
yeah.
good
I
effect
know I
like
read
that.
a book, might have been a couple of years ago now, called The Christmas Killer. It's like a 90s book, and in there they use like a really good old wisey adult that the teens go
Uh,
to like for help, and like it's so well done, like it's really good, and I like that. I like it. I want more.
yeah, I do as well.
um Larissa put, I thought, so talking about Georgie, I thought he was 9 or 10 at least, and pictured him that way. Speed Ray
Yeah,
Chick put, so he was 6 out in the mountains by himself. Yes. Um,
yeah.
and then I saw someone put, Crystal Creation put, I must have missed the bit when he was 6. I thought he was 16. I could be wrong. I might have misread it. But it might be me. It normally is.
No, I think you're probably
Yeah,
right. If
but
you're writing it
I
down at the
could be
time.
wrong. Larissa put, LJ Smith's ability to create tension and suspense is so good. Sharon put, I like
Mm.
the opening scene, the hunter hunted. I think future serial killer there, that
Yeah.
Georgie was.
Oh, absolutely. He was ticking all those horrible boxes, wasn't he? And yeah, I did remember that scene from first reading it. As I was reading it,
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I remember
must
where
have
this went. So it
remembered.
must have left
Yeah,
an
yeah.
impression for over 20 years later, to remember it. I thought
Yeah, and
that, yeah, that was
Claire's put,
done
I
really
did feel
well.
some of the disappearances were a cop out and missing some action. So there's a toilet disappearance which we'll chat about in a minute. Which like I laugh, but we'll get to that.
Also, I was a bit annoyed with the characters as well, that they did just keep going, look, I know that we're all being stolen one by one, like the second we leave the room.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave the room. Hang on. Nobody come with me. It's fine. Yeah.
Little paper doll left.
Surprise. Yeah. I know, and it was the way, it did make me laugh the way she described some of the paper dolls, like Dee's, like had it got its arms in the air or something, or like one of its arms in the air, and some of them were laying flat on their backs and couldn't stand up.
Oh, Tam's put, and I'm just reading this comment out. We will talk about the toilet thing, but there's a pun here that I can't resist. So Tam put, the toilet disappearance seemed very rushed. Well, I think you mean very flushed. I'm here all night.
Oh no. Yeah. Keep them coming, shall we?
Sharon's put, I think the second book was the prologue for the finale. It was a little draggy and then took off and then cliffhanger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nerissa's put, am I the outsider who enjoyed all of this one? I enjoyed it by the end.
Yeah, I enjoyed most of it. I did just feel, I think somebody else in the comments just said that it dragged a little. Oh, was it Sharon? I think you just read it, didn't you? To me, it just dragged a little in places, but I do love these books.
Claire's put, Michael will have toilet trauma from that. Marcy Fanfoni says, I think Jenny is learning that comfortable isn't always the best thing in life. Yeah, I like that.
No, and I think, and Tom is less comfortable and safe in this one, so maybe that's why I found him more appealing. I mean, comfortable and safe, but also annoyingly overbearing in the first one. But yeah, I just thought he felt like a real person in this one. I think he felt a bit like a placeholder in the last one of the boring boyfriends that you were meant to not like, so that she could go for Julian. And I think it would be more interesting if she did like him, if she was conflicted. Because she kept saying that she loved him, and then
why
and then
do you love him? Just
why?
You know, go with, what was it, Brian, who she went to the prom with and ditched.
Oh, honestly, I really didn't know what that whole thing. I felt like a lot of that could have not been there. Like, they spent so long getting ready for that, talking about that, trying to make Tom jealous, going with these other boys, and randomly Audrey also having to go. She's called Audrey. Lost him. I've just got to have a date as well and start making out with him. It's my boyfriend. I must do that for you, Jenny. I'm going to cheat on my boyfriend. It's fine. Yes, and I thought that a lot of that was just unnecessary. I got that it was going to kick off the disappearances and stuff, and I think it needed to be there, but not in quite the.
I think as well it was to get Jenny in that gold dress, because the amount of times they commented on that gold dress. Oh, it's short. Oh, it's tight. Okay. Oh, it makes Jenny more beautiful. And I'm thinking, oh gosh.
She can't be any more beautiful. I mean,
honey,
that, what's her hair?
Gold,
is it blonde? That's the colour of honey and sunlight. Have you ever looked at something and thought that is the exact shade of honey and sunlight? I don't even know what colour honey is in sunlight. But yeah, it made some of the descriptions of the characters. Some made me smile, some made me roll my eyes. Like we mentioned last time, I know for the descriptions of Dee's skin colour, like definitely felt like it needed to be brought up to date. I know that these were written in the 90s, but some of them were a bit like, it missed the mark a little for me. It was sort of crossed into fetishizing as opposed to like describing her as a rounded character.
Claire put, I really liked ABBA, interesting incorporation of the dream world from another character. Yeah, I really liked ABBA. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, so I'm sorry, but I think it was ABBA or Amma. And Nerissa's put, I felt the slow start worked given how they'd been reeling from everything that had just happened, so being dazed. Oh yeah, that's the point. I never quite looked at it that way, but that's actually a good point, actually. I didn't think like that when I was reading. I think because of that opening, I was just expecting a little bit more action, but now in hindsight, I get why maybe, LJ Smith did that. I'm just having a look through. Oh, Sharon's put, I'll be right back.
I think somebody said that they were going to sort their kids out.
People are laughing at my flushed pun. I did well there.
Yeah. I think you got a little drum punch from somebody, a little drum kit.
Teddy New has put, I think sometimes with point horror, the authors have a word count, length, and quota, which can kind of hinder the overall story. Yeah, I think when I've done some interviews with some of the point horror authors, they have mentioned like word counts. But I think back in the 90s, like the word count probably for YA was probably shorter than it is now. Do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that there was a weird thing back in the day where it was these were kind of more
Mm,
teen books, I think, like back then. Like I know that we still get teen books like Bite Risk by Sophie Wills that came out recently. It has been marketed more as
yeah.
teen than middle grade or YA. And I think weirdly they've got YA content, but they're more of
Mm,
a middle grade, like teen length. And I don't think the YA we know now, which can be anything from the stuff I write being like 70 to
mm,
90k, the kind of horror thriller, like the fantasies can be over 100,000
yeah.
words. I think by the last Twilight, I remember reading the word count of that at one point. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, well over 100,000. Um, so yeah, so I think that things have changed a lot, and I think that when things are marketed like the point horrors, where they're all part of an
Mm,
overall, they want all
mm,
their spines to be the same width. And I know Scholastic in particular, I think, are quite known for
yeah.
that. That they like their products to be
Yeah.
quite consistent across the board. Because it was the U, was it the? I'm looking at the spine now. It was the US Scholastic,
Mm,
wasn't it? I think. Oh no, it's
yeah,
UK as
that was
well. This
UK.
edition
Yeah.
was UK.
It's like there are a couple of point horrors that are a bit more chunkier, but they were often like the
Mm,
re rebranded ones that weren't part of the Point series, I
yeah.
think. It's like
Mm.
Prom Date that we read last month. That was, bless you,
Easy.
that was
Thank you.
quite a chunky one to read. Larissa's put
Mm.
in the train. Oh yeah, a girl had chocolate ice cream coloured hair. Yeah.
Have you ever seen that before? Chocolate ice cream coloured
Oh
hair? Like,
dear, mine's like half mixed with. I've got more grey hair since moving than I had before. That's what my hair colour is. Sharon's put the ages are a little blurred now, I think. So YA is bordering adult horror. Yeah, definitely.
definitely. It is quite tricky to navigate the Y section for that, I think. And sometimes when you watch reviewers or read them, people say that they're disappointed for one reason or another because YA can be so broad. It's like
Mm,
age 12 to age 18. Like when I think of all the changes I went as a person then, like
yeah.
what I could tolerate in terms of horror, it's quite a
Yeah,
lot.
definitely.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
a tricky
Karen's going to
category, I
say that she's
think.
got ice cream coloured hair from now on. Yeah. um, so there was a few scenes before they start playing this new game where they involved the children of the town to like go and collect information because
Yes.
obviously they're trying to find the paper house. They're trying to find where Slug and PC, who stole the paper house at the end of book one, have gone. Which spoiler, they turn out they're dead. But yeah, so they're trying to find this. They're trying to make sure that Julian hasn't escaped from where Jenny had locked him in the first book. But I really loved the use of the children and the nursery rhymes and things like that. I just thought it was creepy, but it was effective, and the way they were using them for Chinese whispers, finding info. But it felt really familiar, and I can't quite put my finger on why it felt familiar to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're quite familiar with that as a trope, aren't we? Like that the
Mm,
kids are more knowledgeable than the adults when you think of
yeah,
like Stranger Things,
yeah.
particularly in the first season when they're quite young. And like in the It films, the alternating with the younger characters. Yeah, and I thought it was quite poignant as well that there were
Mm,
siblings of like
mm,
Summer's little
Cam,
brother was
yeah,
there. I thought that that was quite like I had little some moments of like
yeah.
the heartstrings properly tugged on there, and the fact that like Jenny's little brother was there, and was it Dee's little brother or sister? I can't remember which. The fact that their siblings were out there also when these creatures are out there and you've got
Mm,
children running around that kind of hype amped it up for me like the tension of like
yeah.
is anybody safe while
No,
these creatures are
I
there.
agree. I just loved how it was done. I can imagine the children running around the town like finding this information out, and actually then finding where this paper house was, finding the girl who Jenny wanted to like punch or whatever it was at the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this child that she wanted to fight, yeah. Yeah, and I liked the fact that their game that they were playing as well. Like, I often think the games that kids play are really
Mm,
morbid, or like the songs that they sing are really gruesome. Like, you sing Ring Around the Roses
yeah,
and it's about bubonic plague and stuff like that. Um, I think that it was really clever. It kind of
yeah,
felt authentic that kids would be playing this dark game. And I like the fact that somebody like had this chilling
yeah,
realization of, did Julian like plant that game, or were the kids playing anyway and it gave Julian the idea? I
mm,
felt I liked that kind of synchronicity between that's the game Julian was playing and that's the game the children were playing. I
yeah,
thought that
yeah.
that was a
I really
nice
like
link as
that.
well.
Claire's put the children playing felt quite Stephen Kingish and creepy, again with the great imagery. So
Mm.
maybe that's why it just felt familiar to me, because it's just been ingrained in me from reading horror. But I was just like, oh, this feels so familiar, and like I kind of like this. Um, like I'm not, it's not a trope as such. Well, I guess it is a trope, isn't it? Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I think it did we're quite familiar, aren't we, with
mm,
adults not being
yeah,
useful in teen horror and in YA books because like adults don't believe you. And I think it kind of established that at the beginning of the book that the
mm,
parents and the police had dismissed them, so
yeah.
the children were
No,
haunting them.
definitely. And Sharon's put, it's like how Sherlock Holmes used the runaway kids for info. Yes, yeah.
Mm.
And
Yeah, and I think Oliver
yeah,
Twist, there was the network as well, wasn't there? Fagan's
yeah.
kids with the
And
pickpockets.
Melina's put, I thought the Children's Network was very Goonies like. Yes. See, I knew it felt familiar
Yeah,
and I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. And now it's like, oh, yeah, of course it is. But yeah,
I think Stand By Me has that feel as well, doesn't it? The Stephen King short story and the film.
yeah. I've
It's the
never
body, isn't
seen
it?
the
The short
film all the
story
way through.
of a group of. Oh, I really like it. And have you read the story, the
No,
novella that's
I
in
need,
different seasons? It's really.
yeah.
I'd recommend it different seasons. Actually, it's great. It's got um, Apt Pupil, which is also a movie,
Mm.
and The Body, which is Stand By Me. And I don't know, was it? It's not the one with the Green Mile. Oh,
Oh,
Shawshank Redemption is in there. I think it's really good.
mm.
It's got a different
Oh, I'm
title,
gonna,
I think, in the book again. But yeah, it's one of my
yeah,
favourite Stephen King
yeah, I'm
anthologies.
gonna
That one
check
that I've
that
read
out
so
because
far.
I always said, I'm sure I've said this on a chat before that,
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, I need to watch the film and read that book. I've just only ever seen bits of it, so. Marzipan Pony put, I loved how all the younger siblings were just super creepy, and Sharon's put, kids are creepy anyway. Claire said, I think the children are often used as innocents before horrific scenes or events are played out.
mm.
Karen's put, it's familiar, Shelley, because we are inside the game right now. Adam Devine is the
Oh,
real Julian. Oh,
don't.
yes, please. Lots of love for Stand By Me. Yeah, and Shelley, you must watch the film. Yeah, we need a watch-a-thon. Yeah, we do. Oh, and Speedway Chick said the mist is included in that book. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be.
So the monsters in the book then, so Julia's like little helpers, are obviously the lurker and the creeper. So it's like a ghostly wolf and a snake. What did you think of them? Did you like them? Because they were used more in this book.
I'm Yeah, I'm quite scared of wolves and snakes. Like as a rule, I think that they are animals that the kind of whenever they're in stories,
Mm,
it's been ingrained into us to be afraid. So I think that I was kind of primed to be afraid of them. And I thought that it was quite scary that characters like Dee, like quite early on, like they took Dee down and
that's
it
what
was like if
I
they can take
thought. I
Dee
was
down,
like,
then they can get
oh
anybody.
wait.
Yeah, I thought that was quite a bold choice, and they did
Mm,
say that it took both of them to get her. But yeah, and I thought the fact that they could materialize and pull people down into a
mm,
hole that they could just make anywhere was quite terrifying. But I was just really disappointed with how easily
mm,
they died. I kind of wanted them to take Tom with them or something. Like it didn't feel enough of a
yeah.
moment. He just went bang, there's one, bang, the other. I've done it. Look, I'm the big hero. It just felt, and again, that maybe is the word counting, isn't it? That you've got to hit
Yeah.
these certain beats, and she was trying to get to that point. Cut out some of the party,
More
more
blood
blood
and
and
guts.
murder in there, I think would have been
But
good. But yeah, I didn't
I
know. What
really
did you
found
think? Did
them
you have
quite,
a
yeah,
strong
quite
feeling about them?
scary. Even just the imagery of them, and then when you're asleep, and then they're over your bed, and things like that, and or you feel like, I think Jenny at one point feels something around her feet, and things like that.
Oh yeah, the snake. Isn't the snake
Yeah.
in one of the lessons with her or something?
Yeah,
Like she can
and I
hear the
really
flame.
love the imagery of I think Jenny gets pulled in towards Julian at some point in the dream, and he's kind of hovering the creeper and the lurker over the town, like considering where to place them to go and
Yeah.
cause havoc. And I really, really like that imagery. And I thought that was just really creepy because he could put them anywhere. Like he's playing by the rules, but he makes it clear that, you know, he doesn't have to play by the rules. He can put those, you know, his two little helpers anywhere to go and kill people. And I really like that.
It was nice continuation, like the idea of the game as well, like the you know, the house, and then Julian is still like
Mm,
working in miniature, isn't he? Like I think that it kind of felt consistent with the first book. I like that when a sequel feels like it kind of
mm,
follows the same rules as the first book, like it didn't it followed the path that she'd
yeah,
established. I think that
yeah.
that's always less jarring when it kind of all seems
Mm.
to knit
And
together
Sharon
really
said as well
nicely.
that the same as you. So the deaths were a disappointment of the creeper and the lurker. Um, it was very quick,
Yeah,
like
I
you
think
say.
creating really scary, fun characters that can like take down really tough.
Mm,
Right, we established Dee's tough, and they take her down, and then they go down so
yeah,
easily. I think it was
yeah,
just
because
a
I
bit.
think I had to go back at that point just to reread the bit because I was like, oh, hang on, so he killed them both, like, and then he drowned with one on top of
With
him
two
or
bullets.
something.
I think that was.
Um, so yeah, I had to go back and just read that. But I presume that means the creeper and the lurker aren't in the third book, and I'm a bit sad.
I think it probably does, but then they are sort of incorporeal. I
Oh,
can never say the word
that's a big
incorporeal,
word.
to some extent. So I can't remember. I can't remember if they're in it, but I feel like
Oh,
because they're shadowy, they could like
maybe.
reform,
Yeah,
or he could
recreate.
recreate them or something. I don't know. I can't remember. Like I said, I can remember one really gross thing from the third
Claire's
book,
put
and
the
that's it.
computer room freak out. I did giggle a little at that one. Yeah, so with all the J's going across the screen.
Yeah,
Infinity!
I know. Why was she so scared of that? Like, no! And it doesn't start any line. It just carries on. That's terrifying. I didn't really understand. Like, I felt like that was maybe an LJ Smith thing. Like, that's her personal nightmare is like a cursor
it's
that never stops. Is that some writer thing? Like, writer
it's the way
anxiety? Like, it never
like she
ends.
unplugged all of the computers in the whole computer room, like still the J's continued. And I
Yeah, no.
yeah.
And everybody else was like,
What
what on
I
earth's that
didn't
doing? What are you doing?
press save.
Oh,
I didn't save as, and you've like unplugged everything. Yeah, I did quite like that scene. Melina's put she liked the imagery of Julian using the snake and the wolf as chess pieces. I loved
mm.
that. Cameron's put I feel like the Hunger Games masters were buds with Julian. Oh. See, I've not read all the Hunger Games either. I've only read the first one. And I've not...
No shade from me. I know what it's
I'm
like with a
so bad with
series. Like if you
series.
start it, it doesn't
Oh, so
grab
bad.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think I always say this, like series and that. I think because my memory just goes, and then I think, oh, I can't bother to reread the first book. So yeah, I have to try and find a recap or something.
So many, too many books.
Claire's but I think they will be reborn somehow, or alternative characters brought in. Yeah, they can come back, I think Sharon said. Karen's put she got stuck in Excel. I've done that.
I've done that just to see if I can find the end of Excel, and you can't. That is actually quite terrifying, but I think that it was made over
Larissa's
Excel.
put I think I thought the start of the third happened in this one, so I've been sitting here. Why has no one mentioned that
Uh,
coolness? Oh, okay, so something must happen in the third book.
oh,
We're definitely gonna have to read it sooner.
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
Maybe. Can you fit
to.
us in later in the year? Can we do this a bit
Claire's put there's
sooner?
something wrong with me. I find the thought of an unseen computer world scarier than a wolf and a snake. We've all been there, Claire. We've all been there.
No,
But
no
one of
judgment.
the things I did really like was the fact that the book wasn't a rehash, so they didn't go back into the paper house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed. that annoyed me with the Hunger Games, I did start to keep thinking, like, why is it just another Hunger Games? Like, oh, good. Like, the way we're going to resolve the fact that the last Hunger Games was terrible is do another one. Yeah, I do. And I know that, you know, they're really popular books and I did enjoy them. But I do think that that is a danger. And that's when I'm writing as well. I really don't want to go over the same material in a sequel. I want it to be new and different and still feel like part of that world, which I think she did really well, as I've said, but it establishes its own new story and new like levels of what Julian's prepared to do to get Jenny. Like, I don't know if it's worth all the effort.
I think years ago we buddy read Caraval, and like this gives me like Caraval vibes. But I think the second book, like it was always in that same world, wasn't it? I mean, I really liked Caraval. I don't think I've actually finished the last book, shocker, because it's a series. Yeah.
I think we buddy read the second one, didn't we? And I read the third one, but I think that that is again that thing of it does feel a little bit like it's kind of you know, similar situation.
Oh, is that little one?
Yeah, there's a little boy talking. I'm going to see if his daddy can.
And overdue notice, Heather's but that's how I missed many of the point horror Pike and Stein books in my teen years, because the library or bookstore would have the sequel or the most recent one, so I wouldn't be able to read the series. Yeah, see,
do you know what? It happens so often, and I notice it because obviously I've written a series. Like quite often, Waterstones do stock the second book. Without going into the boring ways that bookshops work, my second book got flagged as a priority title, which means that like it was in more shops. So it is interesting how quite often people do pick up the sequel, thinking that it's the first book. Can you hear a little person?
If not,
I'm hoping his daddy will be able to
for a bit if you need to go. Karen's put, by the way, Ambrose Bierce from The Disappeared Boy at the Spring was real. Yeah, I read that. That whole story was actually like a real story or something. I thought it was quite interesting. And Sharon's put, it's why I only buy series when they're all out. Yeah, see, this is what I need to do. I mean, obviously, Amy's series I will read, but this is what I need to do. I need to wait for the series is out, and then I can just read them one after the other. Perfect. So did you have any favourite parts of the Lambs and Monsters game?
I think it was what we've already said. The fact that I think that moment when I realised that what Julian was doing was the same thing as the children. Like, I think I had that little chill of like, you know, that like uncanny valley thing of like looking at something. And it's not quite the same thing, but like just seeing that what the children had been playing sort of so innocently was being kind of used in a game of life or death.
And who do you think had the best disappearance out of all of them? So you had like Zach was kind of like in the middle of the night, and then he took a picture of the snake and then got caught. What was Audrey was singing and went in the kitchen and just disappeared. You got Dee eating the cottage cheese and then obviously crashing the car and trying to run up the stairwell. Tom in the mountains, and Michael with the toilet.
I mean, poor Michael. I feel like all the way through the book, he feels a bit like he's the butt of every joke, doesn't he? Like you first see him and some boys have like knocked his books out of his hands and stuff, and like he has to like cope with his girlfriend who's just openly cheating on him and like kissing other boys and parties because she thinks that she should support Jenny, and he's just got to take it, and then he gets taken in the toilet. Poor guy. I felt for him the most. Like again, I don't think he got much room to grow as a character.
I just found, I don't know, I didn't gel with Michael at all. So when the toilet got him, I did laugh like a lot. I just didn't gel with him as a character, and also as well, it kept throwing me out because LJ Smith kept getting Zach and Michael muddled up quite a lot. I don't know whether so after Zach had gone, they kept talking about Michael as if he'd gone. There was a few times and it kept taking me out, and I kept thinking, have I missed something? There was just a couple of typos, so it must have been the plan originally that Michael was going to go.
Oh,
Yeah, of course.
can I just mute
Yeah,
for
no
2 minutes?
worries.
Sorry, I'm just going to mute. Can you just...
I'll just read some comments out. So yeah, Narissa's put, don't buy all till you have read the first and know it's for you. I've made that mistake. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what it is. I just can never finish series. So like I've read the first Hunger Games. What else? I couldn't even tell you. I really do avoid reading like series, and I don't know why. I need to stop. Yeah, Karen. Yeah, the little one is reading point higher. That's why he's screaming. Yeah. And Claire's put, I found Zach a really interesting character and how they theorised the reality of the image. Oh yeah, I forgot about that because I really liked that. And the way he was explaining to Jenny about the picture of the pipe and things like that, and the whole image and reality concept, because it did just blow your mind a little bit and makes you think a little bit. And I liked that at the end, the that information was actually quite useful to Jenny as well. Yeah, Claire, I didn't really understand it, but I liked it. Yeah, I did have to go back a couple of times and read it, but yeah, I thought it was interesting to read, and I'd like to understand it a little bit more. I think just to say. Sharon says it's why I prefer standalones. Yeah, I just don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is. Karen says you can't read a series, but you can read 85-point horror books back to back. That's it. It's like the whole Netflix thing, isn't it? Where they say, do you want to watch this 4-hour film? No, I don't. But do you want to watch a TV series in 4 parts? Yes, please. Oh, Amy's back. Hello. Oh, is he
No, my little
okay?
person
Oh,
coming up
bless
with his
him.
daddy. Yeah, he is. He just, like they do sometimes. He just
Oh, bless him.
stickers with his daddy. Right now.
Oh, yeah,
I'll
we're
take him
nearly
back up to
finished
bed
now
when we
anyway.
finish.
So, and really.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, it's
oh.
colouring and stickers he's doing, not stickers.
Melina's put,
Colouring.
I love book series. I gravitate towards them. I like knowing there's more of the story to come. That's how I need to think about it.
Yes. I'm just going to pass look at this pencil
Oh,
case for a
I
start.
love that.
The colouring stuff. Look, the
You know,
colouring stuff.
I was just saying,
got...
like, it's like with Netflix. They say, do you want to watch this 4-hour film? No. But do you want to watch it in 4 parts? Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, dear, yeah. So obviously the ending happened. What did you think of the ending with when Jenny falls Julian and kind of enters the picture to find her friends?
I think that was the only bit where I thought, oh, I think we've been here with Jenny fooling Julian. I don't know whether
Yeah.
I wanted a little bit more of that. And also, I did find the fire thing a little bit weird. I was like, would I walk through fire for anyone? And like, I know that I'd been wondering what the model thing was about all the way through the book. Like, the characters kept saying, like, different characters. I think it was Michael at one point kept saying, oh, you can model things in your brain and you can think that they're real and they're not. I knew that was coming at some point, but I thought the fire was a weird one. Like Jenny was like, come on, we just got to believe it's not real fire. And then it still really hurts them.
Yeah.
I found that a bit weird. Like, I don't know many people, even like the bravest people I know, to walk through a wall of fire. Like, and they do it several times too. They were like, oh wait, no, we need to go back. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
I need to do that again.
true.
I found that a little weird. That was the only bit where I think I slightly thought, I don't know. You know, if something pulls out you out of the story and you go, oh, was that how that was? Okay. How about you? Were you a fan of the ending, or
yeah,
that was the only bit I think where I felt a little bit flat?
I did like the end, but then I liked the way that Jenny put her foot down a little bit and said, "No, please, you've got to trust me. We've got to go through this fire." And all the friends are like, "Hell no, Jenny." But yeah, I kind of liked it, but in a weird way. I can't explain. It was a bit strange.
I think they are generally quite strange, particularly the first book. I think if you can read the first book and like cope with the strange, then you can probably cope with the rest of the series. I think that some points in these books you've just got to go, okay, I'm just gonna I'm just going to
Yeah,
accept this.
and then
Just
obviously
go
it
with
leaves it
it.
open for the third book with Tom goes back in to help Zach, I think it is, because Zach gets stuck and doesn't come through the fire, and obviously Julian says that he's going to keep them for another game like treasure. So what do you think book 3 has in store? I know you don't remember much.
No, there's. I'm going to tell you one
Yeah.
thing that I do remember. I remember a
Oh.
fairground and something. The gruesome thing happens at a
Ooh.
fairground. So I don't remember anything else, but I do think that, there's been the whole format of the first one was the game. I know they
Mm,
talked about the different types of games children can play. I think that's where we're going with this. That the first one, I don't remember what they called them, but the first one was the
yeah.
going through the house version of the game, and then like the hunter game, and then I think the next
Mm,
one is going to be like
mm,
his final game, isn't it? So I kind of hope that it's going to be like, from what I remember, it's going to be a bit
yeah.
more like in the horror slant, which I think that's where LJ Smith does really well. Like when she's leaning into the horror element, I think
Yeah.
it's really
No, I
good.
agree.
How about you? Have you got any predictions? Because I can't
Like,
remember enough that I don't know if you're right or
I
not.
kind
So
of
like we
hope
could be
that
anywhere with this.
oh, this is going to sound awful. I kind of hope that,
No.
you know, I don't want Julian to win, but I don't want him to lose. Does that make sense? I'd like the stakes to be really high and they really have to fight to win, like really fight. I mean, I know they fought this time, but like, higher stakes this time. I don't know whether I'd go back in just to save Tom though, to be honest.
I know, and I mean, poor Zach, but I don't think he's really endeared himself to me either. And I don't know whether it's because in the first book, LJ Smith did a bit of a thing where you didn't know whether at one point
Mm.
whether he was helping Julian. So I think like, because didn't Jenny
Oh
suspect him at one point
yeah.
of that, or like Julian was pretending
Mm.
to be him, and she had some doubt about him, and there was that weird thing of them kissing, and then she
Yeah.
realised that it was Julian. Um, so I think because of that, I've
Mm.
got some weird like leftover
Yeah.
feelings about Zach. So don't love Tom, finds Zach a bit
Yeah.
strange.
We'd just
So
leave
yeah, I
them.
don't know. Maybe D should have been
Yeah, I
D
think
should have
this
been
that would
taken,
have
and then
been
we'd be
more
like, yeah,
like,
was
okay, yeah,
D.
they need to go and rescue D. Yeah, definitely. I wasn't too sure about the Tom and Zach thing.
Yeah, I think she's trying to establish that
Mm,
Tom is worthy of love. Like maybe she
yeah,
realised in the first book he wasn't great. So he like went back to
yeah,
save somebody and sacrificed himself, and he was prepared to essentially
mm,
die for Jenny, wasn't he? In this one, like he wasn't sure if he was going to come back from killing the bad guys, but he,
yeah.
as long
No,
as he got them for
definitely.
her.
Tam's put, I thought the end was cool, but yes, needed a little bit more. Jen and Julian seemed a bit rushed. Cameron's put, I'd
Mm,
walk through a wall of
yeah.
fire if someone told me there were chocolate buttons and books on the other side, but they'd burn and melt, Karen.
Yeah, they are very flammable and melty things. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think they were taking the mick a little, running through the fire 3 times. Yeah. um,
just showing off at that point, yeah.
Kimberly's addicted book said, not book related, but I love both of your Nightmare Before Christmas items.
Thanks. Yeah, I do have my clock swinging in the background. It sings "This is
Mm.
Halloween" every hour for you. Just if you need to
And
be
Crystal
woken up at any
Creations
point.
has put, I haven't read the third book in about 16 years, but still remember so much, which surprised me. I think because a lot was so disturbing. Yeah.
I wonder if we remember the same thing. I'm not. I can't
Oh,
give any
I'm really
clues because it will spoil
excited.
it. But yeah, on,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we should do it soon. I don't know how far
I
ahead you've
think I've
planned,
only
Molly,
planned up to
but
November at the moment. So maybe, yes.
oh,
Maybe
maybe
we
a
could
little
do,
Christmas
yeah,
treat for
yeah.
people we could read. Not very Christmassy, I don't think. Though I don't.
There's,
Are there any
there's a
Christmassy
couple
coin
of like
horrors? Like
one set in winter.
there are frozen. Yeah, there are
Yeah.
icy ones, aren't there? But I can't remember. Are there any like?
There
I
was
don't think
like,
there are any
no.
specifically Christmas ones. Like I feel like there should be
I
some
wish there
Krampus one
was.
or something. But I could write it. I feel like there's so many good like UKY horror
Oh,
authors now that could
100%.
take
You
up this
you could
mantle.
do
Like
like you could do it brilliantly. Yeah.
I'd love it. Honestly, whoever owns the
Yeah,
rights to Point Horror, I'd really like
yeah,
them to just like reopen it again. That'd be so cool.
yeah,
If I'm ever a millionaire and the
definitely.
attraction's down and buy
Claire's but
it.
need more depth in the third book. Stakes need to be high. Yeah, definitely.
it it's generally what I want in Point Horror books. Like I feel like if they're a bit gruesome, then I tend to
Oh,
enjoy them
Nerissa's put
most.
this month's film choice. So we watched Snakes on a Plane for the film choice, which I'd never
Oh
seen
yeah.
before, but it was hilarious. Definitely contributed to me thinking part of the third one happened in this one. Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Ah, I don't remember enough to
I'm really
know.
intrigued.
I really
Yeah.
want to read it soon. December. Scarily, December's
No.
not that far
Oh,
away, is
yeah,
it?
cool. I always say my favourite Point Horror's Fatal Secrets, and that's set at Christmas. Yeah.
Oh, is it actually a Christmas one? Right, okay.
There needs to be more death, Sharon said. All right, Heather. Heather's book, weren't you going to do two right away last year? I was, and then it never happened. But no, we will do the third book
Yeah,
soon. Maybe we might just do
yeah.
it at
Life
Christmas or
just.
January, maybe.
I mean, we did talk about
Yeah, we
squeezing in an
were
extra
chatting
one, didn't we?
about it, but
Maybe.
then it's
Like,
just, yeah, time. It was just time in the end. I just couldn't do it. But yeah, maybe January, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, I think we can do
Yeah,
it
called
soon.
you out, Heather. But overall, I actually, in the end, I really did enjoy this one. I enjoyed the second book. Oh, can you do at Jenna's door? So that's Point Horror Unleashed. So yeah, we'll do that. But yeah, in the end, I really really liked this second book. And it's actually made me really really excited to read the third one. So and did you like it overall in the end, Amy?
Yeah, I always thought that
Yeah.
I enjoyed the first book a lot
Oh,
more. Oh,
we're
my
coming
first so
now.
happy. I'll be there in a minute, Dan. We've nearly finished. I think it's
Oh.
torturing him. I'm using his iPad, so he's being kind and sharing with his mummy. Oh dear. But yeah, I did really enjoy the second one. Oh, do you want a little cuddle to the side, Ray?
Oh, I'll let you go, Aim. I'll let you go. But thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, oh. Little touch.
All right, thanks,
Right,
Amy.
take care, lovely.
Bye. Oh, bless
Okay.
Amy. But thank you to Amy for being a very special guest. I hope she's okay. Do check out Amy's books, Mina and the Undead, Mina and the Slayers, and the new anthology, A Taste of Darkness. And yeah, thank you all for joining in and all your comments. I'm so glad you enjoyed this one. It's such a complex book. It was quite hard to like fit everything in what happened. But yeah, I'll try and do. I promise, I will try and do the third book then, either December or January. So you can hold me to this chat and say, Shelley, you said December or January. I promise I'll do it. But thanks for joining in, guys, and I'll see you next month for more Point Horror shenanigans. See you later. Bye. Bye.